Yes, yes. What's going on, guys? My name is Eddie Transcendent, and you're now tuned in to Transcendent Outlook. You're either watching or listening to this podcast. And today I'm super excited because, as you all know, lately I've been talking a lot about the Connecticut Small Business Boost Fund. And today I'm going to be interviewing some representatives from the Boost Fund who are going to help us understand more about the Boost Fund, about why, why it is that they're doing this, why you as a small business owner or as a nonprofit organization consider applying, and pretty much just give you some information on it. I think that me talking about it and me sharing videos that I was asked to share, I think that's great. But to talk to the people who are actually working it, who are there, boost on the ground, I think it's super important. And so what I want to do today is that I want to speak to these ladies for a few minutes and hopefully get some information for you. Now, if you're watching on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever you may be watching, and you have any questions, please make sure you put the questions down in the comments, and I'll try my hardest to get your answer for that. If you're listening to the podcast while you're driving, don't stop driving to ask a question. Just keep going and reach out to me whenever you can. And also, please understand that a lot of the information that we're going to be sharing is going to be down in the description of this podcast. So you can always go down there and check it out and reach out to those names, those links that are going to be down there, and ask the questions that you have to ask. Before we really get started, I also want to ask you to also check out my last podcast, which was with Willie Jones, a small business owner who took advantage of this great opportunity, loves it. And he had a lot of great things to say about the Boost Fund and how it has helped him with his business. Not only that, but he also gave a nice little history about him and how it is that he became a small business owner, right? So I think it's a beautiful story. I think it's an inspiring story. I think that as an entrepreneur, young or older, I think that it's something that will definitely motivate and inspire you. So please check that out. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Sheila and Susan up so we can meet them, talk to them, get to know more about what's going on, and hopefully help you, inspire you to go ahead and apply for this great opportunity. So just give me 1 second here. It's a one-man show here, so I have to reach over here and get this in here. And here they are. Here's Sheila and Susan. Ladies, how are you this morning?
Good, Eddie. How are you?
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm really good, and I'm really excited because again, I think that the Connecticut Small Business Boost Fund is such a great. It's so great for small businesses, and I'm not just saying this because I was told to say this by any means, but because I'm speaking to people who are actually using it and who have great things to say about it. But before we get started, Sheila and Susan, Susan, maybe you can go first. Perhaps tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. I'm a small business specialist at the state of Connecticut in the Office of Small Business.
And Sheila?
Okay. Sheila Hummel. I head up the Office of Small Business at the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development. And I have a real passion for helping small businesses get to where they need to be. So
Love it.
Thank you for having us.
No, listen, I love it. I think that we have a lot of things in common here, as far as what we want to do and what we want to kind of bring to our community. Of course, we're all doing it in different ways, but at the end of the day, it all gets the job done, and that's super amazing. I think to get started right away, not to waste anybody's time, not you or the listeners. I think I want to start with just talking a little bit about the history of the Connecticut Small Business Boost Fund. How did this come about? If you could share some of that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Eddie, for that good question. So in 2012, we had the Small Business Express program. That went on from 2012 through 2019. And it was a very popular program. We did over 2,000 loans and grants. So then under the new leadership of Commissioner Lehman, he wanted the state, he still knew there was a need for financing to help small businesses, but he didn't want the state DECD to be in the banking business. So we did a RFP and we got quite a few applicants, but we really like the National Development Council, which is known by NDC. We like their model. Let me explain why. First of all, they're a very seasoned, experienced team, and they had decades of experience in the Connecticut landscape. Plus, they were coming to the table with private funds too. So it's $150 million program. 75 million state funds and 75 million in private dollars coming from the various banks. But the big thing about this that is very different is this one stop. So you can get your technical assistance, which a lot of people, technical assistance is help. So, put it in simple terms, is help you need. Maybe you need help with your financials. Maybe you need help with a business plan. Maybe you need help with how do I use the internet to increase my bottom line. So, and then you can get a loan. So no one's left behind. So the first step that you do is I would highly recommend you reach out for technical assistance before you go into the portal. And I will, at the end of this podcast, I will give the website address for the portal, but I would reach out to a technical provider and to get the help you need, to make sure that you know your numbers, you have everything in order before you go on and do the pre-application. We launched this program in July 2022.
Oh, okay.
To date, we've funded 252 loans.
Wow.
Over $31 million we've gotten out on the street throughout the state of Connecticut. So pretty proud.
No, that's amazing to hear. And just really quick, because we did talk a little bit about the technical assistance. And I know previous to kind of coming on live, we talked about that a little bit. And I wanted to go ahead and maybe dive into that a little bit, because some of the things that I talked about with some of the prior folks who have benefited from this has been about the technical assistance. And so I want us to kind of talk a little bit about how does that work? Is somebody matched up with a person and they're with that person kind of forever, or is it multiple people who will be helping you throughout the process?
So you can, if you need help, and like I said, I highly recommend you reach out, and I will give someone's email address that you can reach out to, and then he will connect you with a technical provider, or he will be able to help you. But it's really, really important, because lots of times it could have been something going on in your life, whether it's medical issues or a divorce or something like that. You might need help in improving your credit score. You might need help with putting your financials together. You might need help. Hey, I know what my business does, but I need to put it on paper. So a 1 or 2 page business plan.
Yes.
I may need help with financial projections. I don't know how much cash flow. I don't know what I really need. I don't know how much can I afford to, take a loan for. Those are all questions. So I would highly recommend. So the technical assistance will stay with you throughout the life of your loan, and free of charge too.
Oh my God.
So I can't stress that it's so important. So no one is left behind. If you don't get matched up with a lender, it's optional. You can always say, you know what, let me get some help. And then maybe 6 months down the road, be ready to take on a loan.
Okay, and now as a small business owner, before I'm a small business owner myself, right? So before I even consider applying for the Connecticut Small Business Boost Fund, are there some qualifications that maybe I should think about, right? Are there some things that maybe right off the rip may make me not eligible for it that maybe I should think about?
Sure, I can touch on that. In terms of eligibility, maybe I should just back up a little bit and just talk about the general terms for the loan program. The range is between $5,000 and $500,000. A lot of the loans probably focus on around $150,000. It's going to depend on what the company needs and what the cash flow shows that can be supported by the amount of the loan. At this point, it's 4.5% interest rate. It's fixed.
Okay.
All right. It's and the loan terms are either 60 or 72 months.
Okay. Got it.
And then in terms of eligibility, the company has to be in Connecticut because it's a Connecticut sponsored program.
Yeah.
No more than 100 full-time employees. So
Okay.
small, and oftentimes they're a lot smaller than that. Can even be one person.
Yes.
Annual revenues of less than 8 million. So, small scale company. And then business and nonprofits have to be in operation for at least a year before they apply. Although there is a small amount for startups. And that would be a good thing to talk about to talk with SBDC about, if that's, if someone's looking at a startup.
Yeah, and in terms of the SBD, for those who are watching or listening, there will be information down in the description about who you can reach out to talk about some of these things. Now, this is how can I say it? Both small businesses and nonprofit organizations can apply for this, correct?
Correct.
Now, are we seeing the same kind of, not the same number, but are we seeing the same interest from both sides, or would you say that perhaps more nonprofits should look into this opportunity?
I would say I definitely would encourage nonprofits to apply to this program. We're seeing at this point probably more for-profit businesses.
Okay.
But I just wanted to add one thing when you asked, before you apply, what should you have
Yes.
ready?
Yes.
One thing I can't stress enough is be current or on a payment plan with your taxes,
Okay.
whether it's with DRS or the Department of Labor, and then make sure that all your reports are up to date with the Secretary of State's office,
Yes.
because that's one of the requirements too. And lots of times it could just be a report that you did not submit, and that will show that you're delinquent. So that's one of the things that you should look into.
No, more definitely, and again, I did an interview last week, and the gentleman I spoke to spoke about just this, Sheila. He talked about, how he had to go ahead and make sure that he was kind of on track with that, because he wasn't. And so what I took out of that was that not only is the Boost Fund helping folks with this, right, with some extra money with their business, but it's also showing some folks the importance of having these things, these T's crossed, your I's dotted for other possible opportunities in the future, right?
Mhm.
And so I love that this opportunity is showing people the importance, because sometimes we think it's not important, but the importance of being up to date with these things. I think that sometimes as a small business owner, we're good at what we do. We're good at our craft, but we're not good at the paperwork side, right? We're not good at
Yeah.
being kind of organized. And when I say we, I really mean me. Like I'm not that organized with those things. And so, I mean, thankfully my wife is great with that, right? But I love that this is part of it, just because I think that it'll help folks understand the importance of being prepared and organized.
Exactly. Well said.
But now, is there any way to kind of gauge, right? And some of these questions I'm asking them because these are the things that people think about, right? Is there any way to gauge the timeline once you start the process? Of course, if we're prepared, things will move a little faster, right? But is there any way to kind of gauge the timeline?
Well, if they're well prepared, probably a couple weeks.
Okay.
If they need, some additional information or updates, or, there might be an issue with, with one of the state agencies or something like that, it'll take more time. I mean, that's where the whole preparation comes in handy, to make sure everything is lined up, and the Connecticut Small Business Development Center, can help them with that, make sure they have everything, and it's a smooth process.
That's good, and that actually doesn't sound like a long time at all. Now let's say I'm a small business owner and I'm like, oh my God, this is great, but I'm a mess. Like I got to get these things worked out. How much longer do you know how much longer this opportunity is going to be there for us? I mean, you said we started in July of 2022, so we're coming up on a year here pretty soon. Is there any idea on how much longer this is going to be available?
Well, it's a 5-year program, but
Oh, okay.
the goal is really to be self-sustainable, so that it's a revolving
Okay.
fund. So it could go on beyond that, and that's what we hope.
Okay, got it. Now, is there anything that I haven't asked that perhaps you ladies maybe before this meeting or maybe at some point thought that folks need to know about the Connecticut Small Business Boost Fund?
I just want to say one thing. So, you definitely should reach out for technical assistance, because it's really, really important. When you go into the portal, there's, I believe, there's 15 questions. That's the pre-application. A lot of people think that's the application.
Mm.
It doesn't ask for financials or anything. You complete those questions, and then a couple of different things can happen. You can get matched up to a lender. You might get matched up to 2 or 3. You might just get matched up to 1, depending upon, how much money you're asking for, depending upon your credit score. But once you let's say you do get matched up with a lender. Once you will get an email from the lender request requesting additional documentation like financials. You need to submit your financials. So a lot of people think, "Oh, I thought I was getting the money after I got matched up." No, there's another step that you have to go through. But if you do not get matched up and that happens, don't be discouraged. There's a button that you can click on that you can get connected to a technical provider. So you can find out, okay, why didn't I get matched up? It could have been because I requested a $500,000 loan when I only have 100,000 in
Yeah,
revenues
yeah.
coming in. So no one gets left behind. I can't stress it enough. I know, don't get discouraged if you don't get matched up. Click on the button and get technical help, because there's a lot of different other programs out there that may be able to help you too.
Of course. And now, another question that's kind of coming from me, right? Because I'm trying to think in the mindset of some of these small business owners that I know, right? And I think sometimes seeing people who look like you or seeing people whose businesses look like yours can help you kind of get motivated or think, you know what, I can do it too. I can go ahead and apply for that as well. And so, is there anywhere where we could find maybe a list of different businesses that haven't been helped? Or success stories or whatnot? Is there anywhere we could find that? Is that something that has been done?
Well, on the website, on the portal, there
Okay.
is a couple of videos
Mm.
available.
Okay.
And that's another thing that we're constantly doing. We're going to be launching a marketing campaign for this
Great.
very
Okay.
soon. And that's one of the things that we're gonna, really focus on, is people like to talk to people that look like them.
Yes.
It
Yes.
makes them feel comfortable.
Yes.
And but if you go on the portal, there is a couple of videos.
Yeah, and not only that, but just if the business looks like their business, right? Because I think sometimes you may think, oh, but I just clean offices or I just do landscaping. I don't really have a business, like, you know what I mean? And it's like no, your business is good enough to
Yeah.
get help. You can grow as well as everyone else. And so I love that, and I want to just go ahead and say that anything that I can do to share some of these stories, please send it my way. I would love to share it because I think more people need to see that. That I think will motivate them to go ahead and apply. And again, if folks don't get necessarily matched up right away, they can start the process of getting themselves put in a good place to get matched up. But the sooner we start, the better, and the sooner we can motivate folks to see other folks that look like them and do things like the things that they do, then hopefully they will start to apply.
I don't think we mentioned the 50%.
No,
50%.
that's a good
No,
point. Yeah.
Well,
the
I don't
one of
I
the
don't know.
goals of the program.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're about to talk about, but 50% always sounds good to me. So let's talk about it.
Well, we just wanted to mention an important goal of the program
Okay.
is that at least 50% of the funding go to some underserved populations, and that
Oh,
includes
okay.
women, people of color, disabled owners, veteran owners, and businesses that are located in the distressed communities in the state, which are about
Okay.
32 towns, I believe, in the state. So, and we're actually um, the funding, I think we're over the 50% at this point.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
actually at 60%. So we're constantly on a weekly basis looking at those numbers. And then we're seeing, okay, so maybe we need to focus on certain parts of the state too.
Okay.
Like Sue said, distressed municipalities. Are we hitting all the distressed municipalities? So we're doing really well in Hartford, um, Bridgeport, Waterbury.
Yes.
Maybe we need to do a little more outreach in New London. So it's constantly we're looking at the numbers and doing an evaluation.
That's amazing, and it's amazing to hear that it's over the 50%, which means that you
Mhm.
guys are overachieving, and overachieving is great. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Again, I don't want to take too much of your time or too much of the listeners' time. So, is there anything else that you ladies want to share that we haven't talked about?
No, it's just thank you, Eddie, for giving us this opportunity to kind of showcase this program.
Of course, of
And
course.
I don't know if you want me to give the web address or will you put it in the
No,
podcast?
you can go ahead and give it, and then and we'll talk later. You can also email it to me, and I'll make sure that everything's in the description. But you can go ahead and give it for folks who may be listening.
Okay, so if you're interested in applying for the Small Business Boost loan, go into CT Small Business Boost Fund.org, O-R-G. If you need technical assistance, please email Scott, SCOTT .Arnold, ARNOLD at UConn.edu. He's the boost specialist at the Connecticut Small Business Development Center. Either he can help you or he can direct you to an organization that you can get help with the technical assistance. So thank you.
No, and thank you again, folks. If you're watching or listening, all this information will be down in the description. If you're on Facebook or on LinkedIn, some of it may not be in the description. Just reach out, and I'll be gladly share that information with you. Susan, Sheila, thank you so much for this time, for this information. This is gonna be great because folks will be able to see and hear about this, and hopefully get those numbers going up. I have one last question, and that's: is there anything else that I can do to help with your mission?
Just get the word out there, Eddie. Doing what you're doing now. You're very talented at what you do, so just get the word out.
Yeah, this is great. So this is great for small businesses.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Ways. Thank you.
No, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Sheila. Again, I appreciate your time. I will be emailing you ladies super soon to ask you some questions about some things that I may need for the description of this video. But thank you so much, and we'll talk super soon. Yeah, that's it. You guys are done. You guys are off the clock. You're off my clock, but yeah, you have to get back to whatever you guys are doing over there. But thank you so much for your time today. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Transcendent Outlook. Again, I hope that this information will help you understand the benefits of this great opportunity that's out there. And again, all the information will be down in the description. If you're watching on Facebook or on LinkedIn, thank you so much. If you're on YouTube and you were kind of rerouted over from Instagram or from TikTok, again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my page. If you're on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you're listening to this, watching this, please make sure you just subscribe and see some of the other videos that I have going on here. I really do appreciate your time, and I think that's it. Be transcendent.